It's good to be back. 2018 was personally a mixed bag, but in terms of pure entertainment, 2018 was absolutely fantastic. For one, we had two of the biggest crossovers in history. Old forgotten series made a comeback, and overall, just some darn good games came out. This video will be me talking about games I played in 2018, whether it came out in that year, or just playing an old game for the first time. There are a few games I would like to mention, those being Hollow Knight, Valkyria Chronicles 4, and Metroid Samus Returns. I haven't played too much of them to have a solid opinion on, as I've been distracted by other titles, but what I played of them so far, they're pretty great. I also want to mention The World Ends With You Final Remix, as it's a new version of the original DS title that I've played numerous times before. While the new stuff may not all be that great, the story is fantastic, filled with emotional moments, the cast is one of my favourites, and the music is so good. If you have a Switch, buy it. Anyway, here are some games I played this year. First up is Mario Tennis Aces. I used to play a lot of the Nintendo 64 game alongside Power Tennis during my school years, but after Power Tennis, I just drifted away from the series. Until hearing some positive reviews, I decided to pick up Aces. As its tour, Aces is a lot of fun, and can be really intense after a long match. The addition of zone shots and the ability to slow down time really brings a new way of playing tennis, and can really save you when you're in a pickle. My experience with the online mode has mostly been stable, and is where I spend most of my time playing. But that's because there isn't much else to do besides local matches and the story mode, which turned out to be disappointing. It's a tennis game, so I didn't expect to have a groundbreaking narrative, but the problem was the story mode was heavily advertised and was one of the main selling points, so I expected at least a few laughs and some personality. But besides the intro where Luigi gets possessed, there is only the credits, which just ends with no sense of satisfaction. Aces is probably the best in the series in how it plays, and the online is great too. But I feel it just lacks any content to pay full price. Next up is the Blue Bomber. He made his comeback after 8 years of hiding in the shadows, only popping up every now and then for guest appearances, mobile games, and a compilation of his old glory days. But 2018 has been kind to Mega Man fans, as not only we got multiple collections of classic and Mega Man X games, but a new installment with Mega Man 11. Capcom decided to give the Blue Bomber a new makeover, but still keeping the charm of what makes the series what it is. Challenging, fun, and experimenting with new power-ups that are some of the best in the franchise. My favourite is the Acid Barrier, which is the best sealed weapon in the series that burns all foes and projectiles that makes contact with it. You can also fire acid shots at foes too, which doesn't make Mega Man totally defenseless. What makes 11 slightly different to its predecessors is the double gear system, which strangely looks like a switch.
Incidents? I think not!
The double gear system allows our hero to either strengthen his Buster Shot and power-ups with the power gear, or can slow down his environment and enemies around him using the speed gear. I hardly used the power gear in my first playthrough and mostly stuck with the speed gear, as it had the benefit of making platform challenges a lot easier. Besides a few stages like Torchman stage and the optional Dr. Light trials that caused me some trouble, I found Mega Man 11 to be one of my favourite titles in the series, at least in the top 3. I still love UX4. I'm not sure if 11 did well, but I hope that Capcom decides to continue making Mega Man titles in the future. Freedom Planet is a game I heard a lot about for years, but for some reason I never picked it up until the release of the Switch port. It was developed by a small team called Galaxy Trail, who were initially creating a Sonic fan game, but then the project blossomed into its own thing, with original characters and a new universe. At the time of playing Freedom Planet, I was still raving on Sonic Mania and wanted a fix for my Sonic addiction, and Freedom Planet was the next step forward towards my addiction. Freedom Planet is a 2D side-scroller that seems to be inspired by many Mega Drive, or as you Americans call it, Genesis titles, including the Sonic games, Ristar, Rocket Knight Adventures, and Gunstar Heroes, with its high-speed action, visual style, and certain abilities used in the game. You play up to 3 characters, each with their own playstyle, and so far I've only played as Lilac the Dragon. Fair enough, I guess? Anyway, see is basically what you get if Sonic and Ristar fuse together with a lovely personality. In fact, the tasks are great, one of them being the main villain of the game, Lord Brevin, who has this menacing appearance that just makes your skin crawl. At the time of writing this script, I'm currently playing as Carol the Wildcat, who feels a lot different to Lilac. With some brilliant and colourful environments, excellent level designs, and a fun gameplay, I recommend giving this one a shot for any Sonic fan. It's pretty much on everything, and it normally goes on sale for a low price. Nier Automata originally came out in 2017, but I had 2 big games that took most of my free time. A year after its initial release, I finally decided to pick it up as a birthday treat. The game is set in the far future of Earth, where the humans have evacuated the planet and live on the moon. You play as the androids 2B and 9S, who are part of a group of androids known as Yoha, to take back the planet from the machines who have taken over. However, without spoiling anything, that is only the surface level synopsis, and doesn't really describe how engaging the story and characters are. By the time I finished the game, I basically was in tears. The last game to do that was Persona 5. Nier Automata has multiple endings, and to get the full experience of the story and the game itself, you need to finish the majority of the endings. So just don't play only Story A and call it a day. The man behind Nier Automata's story, characters, and lore is none other than this beautiful man. Yotaro, who is known for the original Nier and the Drakengard series, and while I haven't played his previous games, I wanted to get this game as Platinum Games, the developers of the Bayonetta fame, were brought in alongside Yotaro and Square Enix, and well, I'm a big Platinum Games fan. Nier Automata is an action RPG, with the combat being in real time. You have your standard light and heavy attacks, alongside the dodge button, but it also mixes bullet hell and flight combat, which creates some blood pumping moments. Nier Automata is definitely a game I recommend, and you don't need to play Yotaro's previous work to enjoy the story. I haven't played any of his previous games, but I may try them out in the future. I grew up with the Marvel cartoons and some of their games, but I didn't really play much of the Spider-Man titles, only playing one of the games on the PS1 and Shattered Dimensions. But this Christmas I got my hands on Insomniac Games Spider-Man, and wow, what a treat. I don't mind sandbox games, but I never to be bothered to complete most of them, with a few exceptions. I think when it comes down to sandbox games, the method of travelling is important, and if I'm not having fun from getting from point A to point B, then I lose interest pretty quickly. Thankfully, swinging around New York City as Spider-Man is so much fun. Our hero has so many movement options, including swinging from building to building, wall running, and leaping at incredible height and distance, with marvellous speed that feels fantastic to control. It feels like hardcore freerunning. As you might have heard from other videos, the combat is similar to the Arkham games, which isn't a bad thing. In fact, I think it's a lot better than the Arkham games. Spider-Man also fights a lot differently too, compared to the Bat, as he focuses on speed and mobility and dodging his opponents, then counters and breaking body parts. I found the fights quite challenging, as I died numerous times from thuds, as Spider-Man doesn't automatically heal when near death, which made me pay attention to my surroundings. I love Insomniac's version of Spider-Man. I think what annoys me about certain adaptations of well-known characters like Batman and Spider-Man is that they normally repeat the same origin story that practically everybody and their grandmothers know, but thankfully Insomniac threw the repetitive origin story out the window and focused on Peter Parker's adult life, working as a scientist, with one of his biggest challenges stopping supervillains, crime syndicates, and trying to stay above his rent. And you will get your rent by the end of the month. Jeez. I think one of my favourite things about Spider-Man is how down to earth he is, and is quite heroic without putting on the mask. One of my favourite moments was Peter helping a homeless woman get back on her feet. It really brought back on why I love certain superheroes. I honestly didn't expect Spider-Man to be as fun as it was, but it surprised me. I cannot wait to see what Insomniac start installed next. And finally, we have Super Smash Bros. Ultimate, which is my favourite game that I've played in 2018. I didn't expect another Super Smash Bros. Game this year, so when it was announced in March, I was astonished. I was even more surprised when it was just released last Christmas. If Mario Tennis Aces is like a bowl of Cocoa Pops, then Smash Ultimate is a full English breakfast, filled with so many content for you to stuff your face in. I've spent so many hours that I'm not proud of just fighting against the wide range of fighters, from Nintendo classics like Mario and Zelda, Japanese exclusives like Yutas and Roy, to even third parties like Ryu and Cloud. Every character who has appeared in a previous title is now back in Ultimate, with new additions to the cast, such as Reggie, the Belmonts, and King K. Rool, who all give you something new and are fun to play as. While there isn't many new stages, most of the returning stages are back with a new look that brings the stage count to about 103, which is twice as more than the Wii U had. Plus, we have so many music tracks too, that this is basically a Nintendo's fans' iPod. From the previous games, we have the Classic mode, but each character has their own unique route. For example, in Marth's Classic route, you fight dragon-like characters, and with City Pass route, you fight the original 12 fighters. It is a step up compared to the Wii U version, and is honestly my favourite Classic mode to date. Then we have the World of Light mode, which is a mixture between the event matches from the previous games and Brawl's Subspace Emissary. It starts out fun, but does drag on near the end. I recommend playing it in short bursts, and not marathon it like I did. Ultimate has basically distracted me from other titles I still need to play, and with Joker from Persona 5 alongside 4 other fighters joining the roster, that is probably not going to happen anytime soon. 2018 was a great year for games in general, and 2019 has already started pretty strong with Kingdom Hearts 3, Travis Strikes Again, and Tales of Vesperia Definitive Edition. And we're doing so much more too soon. I hope to see you again and take care.